Right, we have no deputations by appointment today, no presentation of petitions, and we're going to move, firstly we're going to change the order of the agenda and we're going to move to item 13, which is on the Tsunami warning sirens technical standards non-compliance. So, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Morning.
If you'd like to give us the sort of highlights of the report and why it's here today, and an overview of what's coming, that would be really helpful, and then time for a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure. Hopefully you had time to read some of the accompanying documents to give you a bit more, but I can run through a brief summary. Between 2012 and 2014, Council installed an array of sirens across our coastline. We have 45 electronic sirens installed along the coastline. In July 2014, after that installation, the Ministry of Civil Defence Emergency Management at the time implemented a tsunami warning siren standard. And that technical standard essentially now puts us into a position where we may be non-compliant come the extended deadline on the 31st of March 2021. Essentially, we are non-compliant on two fronts. One is the signal, which is the noise and the tone that the sirens make, and the other non-compliant issue is the messaging, the actions that we require of citizens when they hear those sirens activating. Essentially, that's the crux of me coming today to try to update the committee on where we're currently at. And there's an array of actions that are currently in place. We maintain our sirens. They are regularly tested. There's no risk to life in the change of the siren tones. So everything that we have in place currently, I think, is a suitable system for alerting, or part of alerting, our citizens in the event of a tsunami. I suppose one of the other key actions is that we are developing a report to Council. The Council will be able to make an array of decisions about the strategic long-term arrangements for our sirens, and also whether to upgrade these to meet the current technical standards. And that's pretty much the summary. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Leanne.
Just, sorry, I've kind of made a note saying that we may become non-compliant in July 2021, but the report in front of us refers to us already being non-compliant, the deadline having expired on the 30th of June. So was it extended, and who extended it, and when was this notified to us?
So the original deadline was in June 2020, so yes, we have passed that. We was extended to the 31st of March by the Director of NEMA, so NEMA a replacement for McDem. That was extended by Sarah Stewart-Black in one of the letters, I believe, was accompanying the report.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
No,
okay, so we've got time. One of the issues for me is a proper debate about the tsunami warning, and perhaps getting an update on the review that we did after the Huranui Kaikoura earthquake, and the significant issues that were raised by our own residents in respect of that in the report that was undertaken at the time. So I think that just in discussions with the chair of the committee, that holding a workshop with councillors is actually a relatively important and first step to the development of a report to council, because it may be that we will want to look at a much more significant decision, which is whether the tsunami sirens are of themselves a modern day response to the challenges that we have. I mean, it seems to me that sirens are, well, particularly those that only make noise, which is pretty ridiculous in this day and age, and I don't know why we were doing that in 2012. But essentially, we need to be in a position where people are really clear about what happens when they feel something that is a significant shape, because sirens are too late for a close tsunami and too soon for a distant one.
Yeah, absolutely. And our education and the messaging at the moment is very much around that. The siren's not there for a local tsunami. That's the events.
But it was used for a local tsunami in the...
Yeah, and I think that some of that definitely feeds into the report and the decision that you may wish to make around about that in the future. So yes, that's very, very relevant. But the messaging now that we communicate, particularly with the change in evacuation zones, we're refreshing our messaging. So we are only non-compliant, or will be non-compliant, on the one noise issue. And as you say, it's obviously part of a bigger piece of work.
Yeah.
But I think we should have a more in-depth conversation about whether we want to go down that track or whether there are other tracks that would be preferable. I still don't want to recapture that moment of, people basically trapped in their cars on the Bridge Street Bridge, only able to go in one direction. It was, there's a lot to be done.
So we've got a resolution up now about having a workshop on tsunami warning options.
So, but I would like because I had missed this completely.
Yeah.
I would like us to note that that there has been an extension to the deadline to the, what is it, the 30th of March?
31st of March.
31st of March 2021, because that gives us a time frame.
It does.
And that it's essentially it's not just, it's almost as if an update on the what happened after we did the review of what happened in 2016, was it?
I think that one of the things that we will have to do is ahead of the workshop, that we will have to make sure that we've had a conversation about what the workshop needs to cover, and making sure that all the right information comes to councillors ahead of that, so that we've had the reading and things ahead of time, so that we can have a really good discussion on the day.
I just want to, what I don't want to lose sight of is the fact that we received quite a significant review of what happened. And there were a number of recommendations. So it's almost as if it's time to just make sure that we're on track to deliver those recommendations. And that absolutely ties in with our consideration of the tsunami warning options.
It does. Tim?
I'm just wondering about the wording about workshop. I mean, I'm not an expert in tsunami warning systems. I'm certainly not that knowledgeable on processes with regards to evacuation procedures and standards. So I think, for me personally, wouldn't it be better to have staff get that information and maybe a look at what happened with regards to Bridge Street, have all that in place and have a briefing to councillors, because I see no point in us having a workshop when you're going to get 16 opinions or 17 opinions.
So the intent of the workshop is to make sure that we're well informed before we give any guidance or look at the actual options themselves.
Yeah.
So
what's the wording with the difference between a workshop, which I think, I don't know, I mean, it's just maybe...
A workshop will come with information, So we will make sure, and I will send an email out well ahead of time to people, so that we can make sure that the workshop and any briefing materials are all fit for purpose, so that we can do what we need to do on the day.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? No? Yanni?
So, just trying to understand, we've got updated tsunami signs that came out, I think, in 2017 or 18. So there's no more work happening around tsunami risk zones. They're all sort of current. Is that correct?
No, the tsunami evacuation zones are being revised across the city. Christchurch cities were revised in December last year, and Banks Peninsulas are currently under review. So there was an original report to council going on some of the details that Leanne mentioned around the history of why we have sirens in the community and feelings towards those. But before that report could come to council, we needed to update our evacuation zones. That would then in turn allow us to determine if the sirens themselves were located in the right areas and allow council to make a decision on that. So there is a flow to all of these things that are happening. And the zones are currently still under review.
What was the work we did in 2018 with communities?
2018, I'd have to go back and look at that.
So we're getting more into the workshop kind of materials at the moment. So at the moment, this report is simply noting the non-compliance, and that we've got a time frame, a workshop coming up, and a new report looking at that coming up. So any additional information for the workshop, we'll make sure that we get that for people, and for the options. So, but at the moment, this is just noting the technical non-compliance and looking at a way forward.
Right, but in 2017 in November, we had a campaign, Long, Strong, Get Gone.
That's right, and that's not about the technical non-compliance of these particular
No, it was
tsunami-
encouraging residents to familiarise themselves with evacuation zones and procedures. All I was trying to understand
Yeah.
is there a new set of evacuation zones that we're currently looking at, and we're waiting for that information so we kind of know
What we've just been told,
And I
yeah.
think
to do.
Rob's just answered that for
Yeah.
you.
It's what we've just been
Which
told.
is yes, is it?
Yes, for the zones, yep. I believe you may be referring to 2017 may have been a national campaign around earthquake, Long, Strong, Get Gone message.
Yeah,
It's something that we keep pushing as well.
Yeah, okay.
right. Do I have a mover for this report, please? Pauline, seconder. Jimmy? Any debate? No? In that case, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Declare that carried. Thank you very much.